Good morning, boys and girls. Today we are going to be learning about literary conflict. So remember on our plot diagram that we have the exposition, the rising action, and then the conflict, which is at the peak of the excitement of the story. So there are a few different types of conflict we're going to be learning about today. So let's get started. Conflict, first of all, in a story, conflict is the struggle between opposing forces. Yesterday, we learned about the protagonist, which is the main character, the one you're rooting for, and the antagonist, the character that is in the conflict with the main character. Now, not all the time are these conflicts with other characters. So there's different types of conflicts a main character can have. For example, one type is an external conflict. An external conflict takes place outside of the character's body. So there are three types of external conflict. The first is man versus man. So this is when you have two characters going after each other. The struggle is between two or more characters in the story. So it might be one character takes on another character, or it might be one character takes on another group of characters. A second kind of external conflict is man versus nature. This type of conflict pits a story's main character or characters against a natural force, such as a flood, a predatory animal, or a disease epidemic. The third type of external conflict is man against society. In many stories, the protagonist battles against an element of a government or of a whole culture. Next, let's move on to internal conflicts. Internal conflicts take place inside of the body or inside of the character's mind. There is only one type of internal conflict. This is man versus self. In a man versus self conflict, the struggle or opposition is within one character, making it a tough decision. For example, a character struggling to overcome a fear, an addiction, an emotional damage, or other crippling personal issue. In Man vs. Self, some literary conflicts take the form of a character struggling to overcome a fear. So we're going to practice this now. I want you to decide what type of conflict is being illustrated in the following pictures. Hopefully, you're thinking this one is man versus nature, since it looks like this boy is trying to survive the flood that has came to his community. What do you think about this one? This one is trying to illustrate man versus self. So there's some inner anger or inner fear that this man is trying to overcome. This one is man versus man, or character versus character, when you see two characters fighting with each other. Here you can see a man standing in a courtroom, and there's a judge up there. So in this case, it's not man versus man. It's not the man versus the judge, but it's the man versus the law. So this is man or character versus society. This one's a pretty funny one here. You can see that this kangaroo is attacking this lady. So this one here is man versus nature. All right, so this lady is standing up to these soldiers, and I think that flower is representing peace, that she wants peace, and obviously they're there to fight. So this would be man versus society. Here we have two wrestlers going at it. So this one is character versus character, or man versus man. All right, now that we're done with the pictures, let's try some text. So on these ones, boys and girls, I'd like you to raise your hand and tell me what you think this is before you continue the movie. So if you need to pause the video to read this or to have more think time, you can, and then hit play when you are ready after you've checked with me. So what about this one? Man versus what? If she had only proceeded more slowly, if she had only taken the southerly route, avoiding the icebergs, if only the watch had had a pair of binoculars. This is a news story about the Titanic. All right, raise your hand if you know what this one is. All right, next up we're moving to number 9, man versus something again. It says Charles decided to break all the rules the day he decided to steal that car. He was immediately arrested and sent to jail to await his trial. He should have known better than to mess with the rules. All right, what do you think this one is? Man versus what? Raise your hand when you know. All right, and we've got a third one to go through. Man versus what again? I don't care who you talk to, screamed Sarah to West. I just wish I had never met you. What does this dialogue tell us? This conflict is man or character versus what? Raise your hand. All right, number 11 says, man versus what? After the light in the cave was completely gone, Tom began to stumble through the cave blindly, cutting his hands on what appeared to be sharp rocks. What do you think this one is? Raise your hand and tell me when you think you know. All right, here's another one. Man versus what? Tom found a dry spot to sit down in the dark and began to feel guilty over an argument he had had earlier in the day with his mother, in which he had said, I hope I never see you again. Which one do you think this is? Man versus... All right, and we're going to stop there. All right, boys and girls. So hopefully you remember that literary conflict comes in many forms. And we'll continue to study this. Thank you. Have a nice day.